my friends. We are here today to talk about e-readers. After Amazon has made a bunch of changes to how you can, let's say, obtain the actual ebook files of your books, and that is now no longer possible without some hoops that you have to jump through. A lot of people have been talking about switching to other e-readers. So I own 5 e-readers. I have my own reasons for why I own 5, but I thought I would talk through each of them, kind of give you some like pros and cons and what I use these for, and then this might help you make a decision about your future e-reader choice, because while I would never advise to like just run out and like buy a new e-reader, if you are happy with your Kindle, that's fine. I still own a Kindle, but if you are thinking about the future or you are in the market to like upgrade your e-reader, I think this is a great time to start thinking about it, because there are a lot of options out there besides Kindle, and this has become absolutely a hyperfixation and a little bit of a special interest for me. I've really like dove headfirst into the world of e-ink and e-readers, and I thought I would share some of my knowledge with you guys to maybe help you make a decision when the time comes for finding a new e-reader. So I took notes because I have ADHD and my brain goes all over the place. So we are going to just refer to the notes, and I'm going to show you the different e-readers, and obviously if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comment section. I love talking about e-readers. I have talked about them a lot on TikTok, so you can find a lot of tutorials over there, and I will be bringing some of those over here, refilming them. I love e-ink. I love it so much. So let's get started. The first device I want to talk about is the Boox Go Color 7, because if you told me today that I had to get rid of all of my e-ink readers except for one, this is the one I would keep. So I wrote down some pros and cons, and we can quickly go through the list to see if this might be the right device for you. So first things first, you can read across multiple ecosystems on this. It runs on Android 12, so any app that is available in the Google Play Store, you should be able to download on here. This kind of ties into the next pro, which is that you can read digital comics in e-ink. This is kind of the main reason why I wanted to get a color e-reader, especially an Android-based one, because I read a lot in the Marvel Unlimited app. I now have the DC Infinite app. I read a lot of comics in Hoopla from my library, and so this gives me the ability to read those in e-ink rather than on an iPad, because I just don't really like reading on an iPad. Everybody is different. If you like reading comics on your iPad, totally get it. The colors of those are way more sharp, but I can read a lot on here without getting headaches, which is a huge pro for me. Another pro is that this is very customizable. If you want to have a very like tailored reading experience, you can get that on here. They have what is called an e-ink center, and you can go in and make very fine-tuned adjustments to how you like your pages to refresh, how you like your colors to look, and it just makes the reading experience so much better, because it's not just like this is the only reading experience you can have. So if you are like someone that likes to tinker and really wants to customize things, you can do that on here. The Boox Go Color 7 also has a built-in e-reader. It's called Neo Reader, so you can actually upload your EPUBs into here. You can like connect it via a cord, you can use a micro SD card, or you can actually send it over Wi-Fi, and you can load up like a library, and you can use the Neo Reader, which also has very customizable settings for how you want your like books to look, how you want it to, what fonts you want to use. You can actually upload different fonts. There's a lot of different things you can do in this with the built-in settings, but you can also, like I said, download third-party apps. I know a lot of people use Moon Reader on here because that gives you a very customized reading experience, and you can sideload your books that way. So lots of different options. Another thing I love about this is that it does support a Bluetooth remote page turner. I use what's called a 8-bit do micro controller. It looks like a little tiny gaming controller, and I use that on my Boox Go Color 7 to turn pages. You can also use the one, I think there's one that looks like a ring that you can connect. It does work with the RFID one that clips on that you can use on a Kindle as well, but lots of different options for remote page turners out there. So it's just nice to be able to like lay in bed, have it propped up, and just read. And have your little arms under the covers. It's just very nice. And the last pro I will mention is that this does have a front light, and it also does have warm light, so you can also read in the dark. It does do dark mode in specific apps. So I know like the Kindle app and the Kobo app do offer to use like dark mode, but it won't put the menu in dark mode. That's pretty common across most color e-readers. It's just kind of where the technology is now. All right, then we will quickly run through kind of the cons. I mean, none of these to me are deal breakers, but they are just something to be aware of. if you're looking into getting this device. So like I said, this is highly customizable with the e-ink center, which means unfortunately that this is not really like ready to go right out of the box. You do need to take the time to customize your settings. I have lots of videos on TikTok about that. I will be bringing some here. There are lots of great resources on Reddit, and there are also lots of great other creators on here and on TikTok that talk about e-readers. So I recommend finding people, finding videos, finding those resources. That's what really helped me. I'm trying to share that with others because I understand that when people get this right out of the box and they just try to read on it without making any changes, they seem to complain about that, and I'm just trying to help set expectations. Let's manage expectations here, right? All right, another con, and this really goes to all e-readers, is that the screen is fragile. I use a case with a flip cover that was gifted to me by a brand named Tudia, and I love this. I have another magnetic cover, and I do have just a clear back case, but I would not take that out of the house. I would not put that just in my purse like that because it is definitely very fragile. If you go on the Boox subreddit, you will see a lot of broken screens and things like that. To me, yes, there are hardware errors that happen, you know, every once in a while, but a lot of it is that people just don't realize how fragile the screen is. So just keep that in mind. I'd say it's more fragile than a Kindle, but all e-ink is fragile. Another con is that the Boox customer service is not great. So I always recommend, if you're gonna get a Boox device, to buy it third party. I bought mine from Amazon, which I know seems ironic. I bought my other Boox devices from Best Buy because I can get a really good warranty through Best Buy. I paid for a 2-year warranty with this through Amazon. If you're in the US, and you can use a third party site, you don't necessarily have to use Amazon. B&H, I believe, also sells Boox devices. I just wouldn't recommend buying it directly from Boox. You do get like incentives if you buy it from them. You often get like a free case, things like that. But if anything goes wrong with the device, their customer service just isn't great. So just something to keep in mind. And also, like, I got my 2 from Best Buy that I'll talk about in a minute. Those ones were really great actually with discounts, and Best Buy does price match with like B&H as well if you have Best Buy with you, like near you or in your area that you can buy from. If you're outside the US, I would just look into what other options you have. I feel like if you're in the EU, you're a little bit more protected. They have a lot of great consumer protection laws there that protect your devices and make kind of the customer service have to work with you, so it just depends on where you are. All right, and then another con is that there's just not a ton of accessories for this. Like I said, I got this case gifted to me by Tudia, which I love. It is a clear back case, but besides Tudia and Boox themselves and like a few other like little brands on Amazon, there just aren't a ton of accessories for this. So I hope we see more in the future as this device gets more popular. It's only been out less than a year, so I hope we see more because I want cute cases and cute little accessories. Like, come on, come on. All right, and kind of speaking of the e-ink customization settings, one thing that I see people complain about with this is ghosting. This is kind of an issue with color e-ink at this time. So taking the time to customize your settings, customizing your refresh rates, it will help prevent ghosting. But if you, like I said, if you try to use it right out of the box, you'll get a lot of ghosting. It's going to seem weird. It's going to seem more so than like Amazon or a Kindle or Kobo. It's because those have built-in things to prevent that. Boox is giving you more free reign to customize your experience. So just know the ghosting is normal, but you can do things to prevent it. And then the last things I will say are that this runs on Android 12, which is an older version of Android. It is still supported, it is still getting security updates, but Boox builds their hardware essentially on top of Android 12, so there's no way to upgrade it to Android 13 or 14 or 15 at this point. It stays in Android 12. So just something to think about. Some people have security concerns because these are made by a Chinese company. I will say just don't put any like highly personal information. Maybe don't put like a credit card number on here or things like that. And the last thing I'll say, and this goes with all the color e-readers that I will be talking about today, is that this runs on a Kaleido 3 screen, which is the like kind of standard at this time for a color e-ink screen. I think it's fine, but it is dark. It is much darker than a black and white e-reader. So when you get it, you will realize if you were to get a color e-reader that you do need to use the front light a lot more often than you would any other black and white e-reader. So just, again, managing expectations. And just to stay on the like Boox train right now, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the Boox Palma next. This was actually my first Boox device that I got, and it was because I was wanting to leave the Amazon ecosystem, and I saw this and I was like, wow, it's really cute. It's like a little purse Kindle, I guess you could say, and it is a black and white e-reader, palm size. It's a little bit smaller than like an iPhone 15 Pro Max, but if you're looking for kind of a pocket-sized e-reader, this is fantastic. And if you want to know like its size comparison, I can show real quickly compared to a Kindle Basic. They are, you know, it's definitely smaller, but it is also a 6-inch screen. So, and that's because we measure diagonally for screen size. So, some pros about this. It is small. It is the size of an iPhone. I love that. I think it's fantastic. It fits perfectly in all my bags, and that's kind of what I was going for. I wanted to be able to always have an e-reader on me. It has a Carta 1200 screen, which is the like one generation old Carta screen, which is a black and white screen. It is very crisp. I've not used a Carta 1300 screen. That's what's in the new Kindle Basic, maybe the Scribe too. I'm not too sure, the new Scribes, but to me the 1200 is fine. It's very crisp. The contrast on this is great. I obviously am just using this for text-based reading, no comics or anything like that, but to me it is crisp. This runs on Android 11, so again, you can use the Google Play Store to download whatever apps you want to use. I mostly use on this, I say the Kindle and the Kobo app, the Gloss app. I do have Audible on here and my like Google Play Books where I do a lot of audiobooks, and I have used it for audiobooks, but I have a Walkman now, a MP3 Walkman that I love, so I'm mostly using that for reading, for audiobooks, but you can use this for audiobooks, which is fantastic. Another great feature is, again, you can use the volume buttons to page turn, same as the Boox Go Color 7, just the volume buttons are on the side here. This also supports a micro SD card, so if you want to expand your storage, if you want to like load all your ebooks onto a micro SD, you can also put that on here just to like have it so it's not just on the like internal memory. And then lastly, this has a auto front light, which is really nice, so you can actually put that on now, so it'll like this little light sensor here. It looks like a camera. It's not a camera. It's a sensor on the front. It's detecting what the light is like in the room. It's going to adjust it if you have it on the auto. And I will say, and I hadn't written this down, but I will say this has a camera on it. So you can use it as a camera. Actually, if you do that and you send the photos to like yourself on like your computer, they are in color, which is strange, but it's mostly for document scanning. So if you need to scan a lot of documents, or when I was in grad school, I used to use like OCR to like read my textbook like in journal articles. To me, it's great for that. So it does OCR, if you know what that means, if that is a feature you're looking for. But yeah, this is fantastic. I love this little guy. I use it every day. All right, and then quickly to go through the cons of this, because obviously everything has pros and cons. It is pricey for a small e-reader. It is about $280 for the Palma 2. This is the Palma 1. I should have mentioned that. This one goes for maybe like $250 now. So it is much more expensive. It's actually more expensive than the Go Color 7, which is about $250 US. So just to keep in mind, about $280. You can sometimes find it on sale. The Palma 2 just came out, so I would think that that's probably not going to be super on sale, but if you are interested in the Palma 1, it does, like I said, run on an older version of Android, but they are still available. Again, this has a fragile screen, just like all e-readers, and that's why, again, Tudia was so nice to also send me this case to try out, which I love. I had another case of theirs that was just the clear back, and then I would put this in like a little bag, a little padded bag whenever I put in my purse, but now I have this cover and it feels so much more protected. So if you're going to use something like this, you want to make sure you protect the screen if you're taking it out of your house, putting it in a bag, putting it in your pocket, anything. Another thing to note, like I mentioned, this runs on Android 11, which is an even older version of Android. This means it does not get security updates from Android anymore. To be completely honest, that doesn't super bother me, but it might bother you. You can kind of read more about that on Reddit. I'd say they're talking about it the most. To me, again, just don't put any like credit card information on this. Don't put a ton of personal information. A lot of people will make burner Google accounts and use that for all of their stuff. I didn't go that far, but just things to think about if you're thinking security wise on these types of devices. And then the last con is just that it is a small screen, which, like I said, to me that was a pro, but for you it might be a con. A lot of people don't like reading on such a small screen, but then again, a lot of people are really used to reading on their phones. I can show you kind of what I use. Very large font because, like I said, I have ADHD, and this will look probably ridiculous to some people, but I do use very big font. I've seen other people have it be much smaller. To me, yes, I do have to turn the pages more often. That is okay with me. I don't mind that, but just something to consider if you are looking at a smaller e-ink device. Boox device I will talk about is the Tab Mini C. This was actually the first color e-reader that I got. I bought this because the Go Color 7 had not yet been released in white, and I really wanted that device specifically in white. They had been advertising it. It just took them a few months after the black one was released. So in the meantime, I bought this because it was on sale and I had some like gift cards and stuff from Best Buy so I could get the price down quite a bit. This is an older tablet. This is probably the oldest of the Boox devices I have. I think this was released in 2023, but it is actually a tablet. So I have all my notes written on it. So it provides a bit more function than the Go Color 7 because the Go Color 7 does not support a stylus, but this does. So kind of besides that, I'll run through my little list here. I'm not gonna hold it up, sorry, because I need to read. So like I said, this is an e-ink tablet with stylus support. It is an all-in-one device. It's kind of like, you could kind of think of it like an iPad as well, just because it's e-ink, it's not gonna have that same type of refresh that like you have on an iPad if you're watching like movies or anything like that. So I wouldn't watch videos on this. This also runs on Android 11 like the Palma, so it supports all the Google Play Store stuff, but also just to consider about security wise and whatnot. It is great for note taking. I use it a lot for puzzles as well. I do a lot of Sudoku. I love listening to an audiobook and doing tons of Sudoku puzzles. That is like one of my favorite ways to relax. You can like side load different puzzles. I bought those from Etsy and you can put them on here really easily and it's just great. It's also great for comics and manga. It is a 7.8-inch screen, so just a little bit smaller than an iPad mini. I've heard people that, I don't read a ton of manga, but I've heard people that do say that this size device is perfect for that. And I love it for comics as well. It's a little bit of a bigger screen than the Go Color 7. I took this on vacation with me back in September, and to be honest, it was fantastic. I read comics on it the entire plane ride, and it feels like a much sturdier device. I will say this is probably the sturdiest feeling one of all of my Boox devices. So this was great to throw in a bag and take on the plane with me. It's fantastic. The cons of this, of course, again, are that an older device, runs on Android 11. So it is, you know, at this point, I haven't run into an app that I couldn't download, but there will come a point in time when like certain app developers will make it so you can't download an app on like an Android 11 device. I do think we're probably 4 or 5 years out from that. So I do plan on having this for a couple years before, you know, it needs to be replaced. It is a bit heavier than my other readers. It's probably the heaviest of them all. It does not have any page turn buttons. It only has a button on the top to turn it off and on. Another con is that it has no SD card options, so you only have the memory that you have on it. I will say I have never on any e-ink reader device ever run into a storage issue. E-book files are tiny and comic files are a little bit bigger, but on like these, I only download what I'm gonna read. I'm not sideloading a bunch of stuff at this time because most of my stuff lives on the Kindle app or in Hoopla or whatever, and I can just download what I'm reading and then delete after that. So just something to consider though if you have a lot of large files that you would want to use on this. There are lots of other things you can do with this device. I mostly, like I said, use it for note taking, for work now that I've finished school, and puzzles, and then reading if I don't have my like Go Color 7. I do read comics on this. They look very crisp. It has a very good refresh, but it also has all the customizations that the other Boox devices have. So it's a great option if you were looking for a small e-ink tablet. I do hope that we will see an updated version of this in the next year. That's really my hope. My husband has another Boox, the Note Air 4, which is I think a 10-inch e-ink tablet. He loves that. He also does a lot of puzzles and stuff. It is a newer version, but I just think that like this is great for me. It's very compact. I do hope they come out with a new version of this eventually because it would be great to have this on Android 13 or 14. All right, the fourth e-ink device, e-reader I want to talk about is the Kobo Libra Color. I had bought a Color Soft to just test out and do a comparison video to my Go Color 7, and I returned that pretty quickly because I did not like it. And then the prices of the Kobo Libra Color dropped. It went on sale for a little bit, probably in competition of the Color Soft coming out. And I was like, I'm gonna buy it and I'll do, you know, again, like I'll try to compare it to the Go Color 7. And then I just really liked it. Like I opened this and I was like, oh wow, this is a really nice device. I get it now. So I've kind of just kept it. I just kept it. I went and bought the stylus when they dropped the white stylus, and I love this device so much. Honestly, like I love all my Boox devices, but I very rarely read Kobo books now on the Boox devices because I like the Kobo so much. It's just a really good experience. I don't do a ton of annotating on it, but you can. So that, like, let's I guess dive in to the pros and cons of this because it's such a good device. It's really such a good device. So number one is the UI of this. I hated the Kindle UI. I think a lot of people did and do still. The Kobo one is just so nice. It's very clean. Everything's organized. And since this one does support a stylus, you like have your books, like your whole library, you have notebooks, and then under Discover, it gives you the store. But first off, like, it doesn't inundate you with the store when you open this. You have to go to the store to like look at things. But also it has Overdrive, or Libby if you know it as Libby. Overdrive owns Libby, and that is where you can check out library books. You can't check out audiobooks from this. You can buy audiobooks in the Kindle or in the Kobo store, but you can't check out audiobooks on Overdrive through this, but you can with your books. And it's great. It's very seamless. You don't have to do like that whole thing with Kindle where you have to go to the Amazon website. You can literally just check them out in here. If you see on your Libby app that your hold's available, you can just open up your Kobo, go under Overdrive and check it out in here. And then you have your book. It's just, it's so seamless. It's just a really great experience. All right. Like I said, another pro for me was that it does support a stylus. It does support annotating directly on the page. So if you are like an annotating person, you like that, this is a great option. The stylus is separate. It does not come with the device, unfortunately, but you do not need to buy the Kobo stylus. You can buy, I believe it's like an M2 stylus that works usually with like a Surface Pro, but you can find those for like half the price of this. I just wanted the Kobo one because it was white and I couldn't find a white stylus third party, but there are third party options. Obviously a huge pro on this is the page turning buttons. I love that. I think it's very nice. You can also flip it, and same thing, page turning buttons work this way. You can read this way, and you can also completely turn off the auto rotate if you don't want it to accidentally rotate on you. So there are a lot of options here. There's great customization. You can also go into like dev mode, and there's some extra settings, but to me, like the basic UI on this and the basic settings have been fine for me. I have not felt the need to get super customizing on this because I don't really read comics on this. I'm mostly reading comics on my books, and that will be something I talk about in the cons. Like a lot of e-readers, this does have a front light and a warm light because it has the Kaleido 3 screen. Because it's a color e-reader, you do need to use the front light on a lot of things because the screen just gets too dark otherwise. So just something to consider. It doesn't bother me at all. It does do dark mode as well. So if you're reading a book, again, it doesn't do dark mode in the actual menu, just in the actual book, but it's fine for reading at night. And then you can like turn the warmth up as well. And it does have like an automatic setting for warmth if you'd like to do that. So it goes like yellowy warm tones in the evening and through the morning. It's just very nice if you are a nighttime reader. And as I spoke about where you can get books from here, from the Kobo store or from Overdrive, another option is also connecting it to Dropbox and Google Drive. I haven't done the Dropbox one, but the Google Drive one, it will literally just create a folder in your Google Drive and you can drop your EPUBs in there and it will just automatically like make it so you can read it on here. So that is a great option. And you can also sideload via Calibre if you want to do it that way. I know there's a lot of people that use Kobo that use Calibre as well to manage their library. So lots of resources on the Calibre subreddit for that, but it just gives you a lot of different options on how you want to manage your ebook. All right, now we can go to the cons. There are just a few, not a ton. So the first con is that there's no guided view in comics, which is a huge bummer as someone that loves to read comics and loves the panel to go panel by panel. I love that. That's one of the reasons why I love digital comics so much, but Kobo does not offer that. I believe if you use Co-Reader, KO Reader, you might be able to do some customizations in there to do that. I have not gone down that rabbit hole because, like I said, most of the comics I read are in third-party apps anyways, or in like Marvel Unlimited. So it's not a huge deal breaker to me, but just something to consider if you are a heavy comic reader. You can pinch, zoom in and out, but you can't go panel by panel. Kobo does have their own version of Kindle Unlimited called Kobo Plus. It's cheap, actually. It's $10 a month for books and audiobooks, or $7.99 a month, I believe, if you just want books. I like it. I found some good books on there, but it's definitely not as robust as Kindle Unlimited. We'll talk about that when I get to the Kindle next, but Amazon has kind of cornered that market of indie books. So while there are some indie authors here and also just like traditionally published authors on Kobo Plus, it's just something to consider if you like reading in those type of ecosystems. ecosystem. So if you're a hardcore Kindle Unlimited user, you're thinking about going over to Kobo, it's not a one-for-one. The library on Kobo Plus is just smaller, but we hope to see it continue to grow because I would love to see that. I would love to see that. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, to be completely honest, I love this device so much. I use it a ton. Like, honestly, I use this every day. I have mostly been reading historical romances on this, and I don't know. I love having this separate little device for that. And like I said, I do still read on the Kobo app, especially like on my Palma if I'm out and about. But I do really like the reading experience on this, and I would absolutely understand if people switch from Kindle to Kobo because it's great. Oh, and I guess one more pro that I forgot to mention, because Amazon has taken away their ability for you to download your ebook files, Kobo has not taken that away from you yet. You do have the ability to still download your ebook files to your computer so you can back them up. So that is a huge, huge, huge pro for the Kobo. Our last e-reader that we're going to talk about is the Kindle. I have a Kindle Basic from 2022. This has great contrast. If you are a black and white e-reader like person only, you do not read comics, you don't need anything in color at all, this has fantastic contrast. This is a Carta 1200 screen. The new Kindles have a Carta 1300 screen. That's all the black and white Kindles. I've heard it's very, extra crisp. To me, this is very crisp. It has great contrast. Dark mode's great on it. Like, this is a solid e-reader for people that, want to just read in black and white text. It's also very compact, like I said, compared to my Boox Palma. They are pretty close to the same size. So if you are looking for a small e-reader, I do recommend the Basic. It is just a great little size. The Basic does have front light, which is fantastic. And like I said, dark mode. The only thing that I think would make this better is if it did have warm light like the Paperwhite does, but I genuinely believe that Amazon will never put warm light in this because they know people will buy this over the Paperwhite. That's my conspiracy theory because the contrast is so much better on this and you don't get as much glare as you do on the Paperwhite. Another great thing on the Kindle obviously is your ability to send library books. If you are in the US, you can use Libby to send library books to your Kindle. I should have mentioned this about the Kobo. If you live outside the US, the Kobo's great for that as well. Like a lot of countries like Canada, you cannot send Libby books to a Kindle, you can only send it to a Kobo. So just something to keep in mind if you are in the US, that's why this is another great option. And finally, KU, Kindle Unlimited. I know so many people are so attached to it. I personally, I've signed up for KU so many times and then I read like one book and then I pay for 4 months of it and then I go, maybe I should just cancel this because I just don't read as many, I think, indie authors and stuff. And so I think it is a great value if you read many, many books every month and you don't, especially if you don't have access to a library, like a huge library system. Like my library system here in Portland is fantastic. So I can get most books through them except for Kindle Unlimited exclusive titles, which we'll talk about that under the cons. But yeah, so if you use KU, obviously having a Kindle device is fantastic for that. Now let's go into the cons. The biggest con is that you are locked into the Amazon ecosystem, which Amazon has made even harder now because they took away the ability for you to download your ebook files. And it's not great. It's not great. It's not a great thing. I get that people will say, you only bought a license if you bought your ebooks. Maybe just close your mouth because we should not be so calm about giving up our access to our digital media. I've made many videos about this. When the Amazon announcement got made, I made a video. It was like 500,000 views at this point, which is insane to me. But if you are someone that is locked in the Amazon ecosystem and you did not get a chance to download your books, I am so sorry. There are some workarounds still. Check out the Caliber subreddit. I'll link everything below, but just something to consider if you are still stuck there. But that is the one reason why I wanted to get out of Amazon. And I've said this will be the last Kindle I ever buy because I kept this also because it gave me the ability to download my ebooks. You need to have a Kindle with the serial number attached to it and they took that away. So I will use this until it dies and then it will become a memorial probably on my shelf. But yeah, that's a huge, huge bummer. Another con that I kind of mentioned is that there is no warm light on this. Like I said, I think Amazon's doing that intentionally. But if you are someone that needs warm light, you probably would then want a Paperwhite or, literally any other e-reader I talked about today because all the other ones do have warm light. My last con on this is that the UI is fine. It's not great. It is very, very pushing you to buy books. That's why when you open this and you open your library, besides your books at the very top, the rest of it is all books they want you to buy. That's one reason I really like the Kobo UI because it is not so pushy. And I like the Boox UI because it's just Android. So to me, there's so many other options now, and I think it's so important to do your due diligence. I did a lot of research before buying any of these e-readers. And again, I know owning 5 is a lot. I get asked all the time when I talk about it, why do you own 5? It's because I genuinely use them all. It's because e-readers are a special interest to me because I love this technology so much, and it's because I love being able to make videos about it. Like, I started doing this on TikTok, and now I'm trying to come over here because I feel like I can do longer form content. We can talk a bit more. People seem to like hearing me yap about these things, and I love them. I love how much you can customize them. Once you're out of the Amazon ecosystem, I feel like the possibilities are endless. But yes, if you have any questions about any of these, like I said, these are the ones I have. If you have any questions, please let me know. Please, if you like this kind of stuff and you like hearing someone yap about e-readers, I plan on doing some tutorials. I want to teach you all how to set up specifically your Boox devices so you can get the best reading experience out of this, because it really breaks my heart when I see people like say they bought this and they had high expectations and then they were just crushed because they couldn't quite get the settings right. I'm here to help. There are lots of resources I will always provide, but I want everyone to enjoy their e-readers because I like talking about them, but I also like reading on them, and it's just, I want everyone to have a really good experience. So please let me know if you have any questions. I hope you will follow along on this journey, and thank you for sitting through this long rambly session about e-readers, and hopefully this will help you make a better informed decision on which one might be right for you. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye.